probably the last point I want to make is there has been a lot of inflation over the last decade, and it's been in asset markets. And you know, I'm not going to talk about
and
equities.
School fees and house prices.
Yeah, well, I was going to actually talk about house prices because, like, house prices is just one of those things where, you know, like everyone's got a view, and everyone wants to know your view. And I think that if you talk to people that don't own houses, they can't fathom paying the prices of housing today. And fair enough, like in raw dollars and in how many years of income it takes to buy a house in the suburbs in Sydney or Melbourne in particular, but really all the capitals in Australia, it's absurd, really. But I think the thing with house prices for me is if you're in the market and if you're paying off a mortgage, you've hopefully seen the truth and the secret to the property market at the moment, and that is the actual interest burden on households is lower now than it was 4 years ago. Now, households are borrowing, 30, 40% more, but the raw component of repayments that goes to interest is actually down because of the rate cuts over that time frame. And so I kind of look at that and go, the carry costs or the financing costs of owning property isn't out of control. I think that while we're in a low rate environment, and I do think we will be in a low rate environment for some time, maybe not a zero rate environment forever, but a low rate environment for some time, property it's not as expensive as it looks. Is probably the point I want to make, and I kind of can in outer suburbs, and I mean way outer suburbs in our major cities, but in the second tier cities, the outer suburbs, it's actually sort of equal economics to rent or buy the same house. It costs the same, even on a P&I loan where you're slowly building equity. So I think that's to me a bit of a signal that house prices are not perhaps as expensive as we think they are when we just look at the raw price appreciation. And again, if inflation turns into what I'd consider more real inflation, and that's income type inflation, then, and we see a move in incomes, then, the affordability will be very apparent all of a sudden when you think about house prices as a multiple of incomes.
Podcast is for informational purposes only. It does not constitute financial advice or take into account the particular investment objectives, financial situations, or needs of individual listeners. Listeners should consider whether any opinions or recommendations in this podcast are suitable for their particular circumstances and, if appropriate, seek professional advice, including tax advice.